The rain battered the windshield of Odella Hartwell's beat-up Toyota Corolla as she idled in the driveway of a sprawling McMansion in the upscale suburbs of Raleigh, North Carolina. The house, white brick, black shutters, a manicured lawn that screamed money, glowed under the streetlights, mocking her. Her hands trembled on the steering wheel, not from the October chill seeping through the car's cracked windows, but from the email she'd opened an hour ago, an email from a mortgage company she'd never heard of, congratulating her on her new $800,000 0-cents home loan. A loan she hadn't applied for. A home she didn't own. Her name, Odella Hartwell, was plastered across the documents, but the address matched the house in front of her, the house her brother Jason and his fiancée Vera had moved into 6 months ago. Odella's phone buzzed in the cup holder, her mother's name flashing on the screen. She ignored it, her pulse hammering in her ears. The email wasn't a mistake. It was a betrayal. Her family, her own flesh and blood, had stolen her identity, forged her signature, and saddled her with a debt that could bury her. She'd spent the last hour piecing it together, Jason's smug Instagram posts about his dream home, Vera's cryptic comments about family helping family, her parents' sudden silence when she mentioned her credit score tanking. They'd done this, all of them. She killed the engine and stepped into the rain, her sneakers squelching on the wet pavement. The front door of the house loomed like a guillotine. She didn't knock. She didn't have to. Jason had given her a key months ago, back when she still trusted him, back when she thought family meant something. Inside, the house smelled of lavender candles and new money. The foyer was all marble and mirrors, a chandelier glittering above like a taunt. Voices drifted from the living room, Jason's low chuckle, Vera's sharp laugh, and the softer tones of her parents, Maris and Harlan. Odella's stomach twisted. They were all here, one big, happy conspiracy. She stepped into the living room, dripping wet, her reflection distorted in the polished hardwood. Jason lounged on a leather sectional, a beer in hand, his blonde hair mussed like he'd just rolled out of a magazine shoot. Vera perched beside him, her auburn curls cascading over a cashmere sweater, her engagement ring catching the light. Maris sat in an armchair, sipping wine, her silver streaked hair pulled into a severe bun. Harlan stood by the fireplace, poking at the logs, his broad shoulders hunched as if he could already sense the storm Odella was about to unleash. "Odella?" Jason's smile faltered as he sat up. "What the hell? You're soaked." "Surprise," Odella said, her voice steady despite the rage clawing at her chest. She held up her phone, the mortgage email glowing on the screen. "Care to explain why I'm the proud owner of an $800,000 0-cents mortgage I didn't sign for?" The room went silent, the only sound the crackle of the fire. Vera's wineglass froze halfway to her lips. Morris's eyes narrowed, but she didn't speak. Harlan didn't even turn around, just kept jabbing at the logs like they'd personally offended him. Jason laughed, a nervous bark. "What are you talking about? That's crazy." "Is it?" Odella stepped closer, her wet shoes leaving prints on the pristine floor. "Because this email says Odella Hartwell took out a loan for 412 Willow Creek Drive. This house. Your house." Vera set her glass down with a clink. "You must have misunderstood. Mortgages are complicated." "Don't," Odella snapped, cutting her off. "Don't lie to me. I called the bank. They have my social security number, my signature, my everything. Except I didn't sign anything. So who did?" Jason's face flushed, his easy charm crumbling. "Look, Della, calm down. Let's talk about this." "Calm down," her voice rose, sharp enough to make Maris flinch. "You stole my identity. You tanked my credit, my future, for this tacky palace. And you're telling me to calm down?" "Della, honey," Maris said, her tone syrupy. the one she used when she wanted to smooth things over. "You're blowing this out of proportion. We didn't steal anything. We just borrowed your name for a little while. For the family." Odella's jaw dropped. "Borrowed my name? You committed fraud. Do you have any idea what this could do to me? I could lose my job, my apartment, everything." Maris waved a hand, dismissive. "You're being dramatic. We're family. We help each other. Jason and Vera needed a home, and your credit was perfect. It was just sitting there, unused." "Unused?" Odella's voice cracked. "It's my life, my future. You don't get to use it like it's a goddamn credit card." "Watch your tone," Harlan said, finally turning from the fireplace. His voice was low, gravelly, the kind that used to make Odella shrink when she was a kid. But she wasn't a kid anymore. "My tone?" she shot back. "You're standing in a house bought with my stolen identity, and you're worried about my tone?" Vera stood, smoothing her sweater, her smile tight. "Odella, you're making this ugly. We didn't want to hurt you. We just needed a fresh start. You know how hard it's been for Jason with his business failing." "Don't you dare," Odella said, pointing at her. "Don't make this about Jason's bad decisions. You're engaged to him. You're in on this. You're living in my stolen house." Vera's eyes flashed, but she didn't deny it. Jason rubbed his temples, muttering, "This is a mess." "A mess?" Odella laughed, bitter and raw. "You forged my signature, Jason. You and your fiancé and our parents. You all lied to me. How long were you going to keep this up? Until the bank came after me? Until I was bankrupt?" Maris sighed, setting her wineglass on the coffee table. "Odella, you're not seeing the big picture. This house is an investment. For all of us. When Jason and Vera sell it, we'll pay off the mortgage, fix your credit, and you'll be fine. Better than fine. You'll have a share." "A share?" Odella's voice was a hiss. "You think I want a cut of your crime? You think that makes this okay?" "It's not a crime," Maris said, her voice hardening. "It's family helping family. You'd understand if you weren't so selfish." The word hit Odella like a slap. Selfish. Her whole life, she'd been the good daughter, the reliable one. She'd worked 2 jobs through college, paid off her student loans, built a life she was proud of. And now, her own mother was calling her selfish for refusing to let them destroy it. She turned to Harlan, desperation creeping into her voice. "Dad, please, tell me you didn't know about this. Tell me you didn't let them do this to me." Harlan's eyes met hers, and for a moment she thought she saw a flicker of guilt. But then he shrugged, turning back to the fire. "It's done, Odella. You'll be fine." Odella's knees buckled, but she caught herself on the arm of the sofa. The room spun, the weight of their betrayal crushing her. They weren't sorry. They weren't going to fix this. They were going to let her drown. "I'm going to the police," she said, her voice shaking but firm. "I'm reporting this, all of you." Vera's face paled. "You wouldn't dare." "Try me," Odella said, stepping toward the door. "You think I'm going to let you ruin my life? I'm done protecting you." Jason surged to his feet, blocking her path. "Della, don't do this. You'll tear the family apart." "Good," she spat. "You already did that when you stole my identity." "Enough." Maris stood, her voice cutting through the room. "Odella, if you go to the police, you'll ruin everything. Not just for us, but for you. Think about it. A scandal like this, your job at that fancy law firm, gone. Your reputation, gone. You'll be the one who pays the price." Odella froze, her hand on the doorknob. Maris's words sank in, cold and sharp. Her job at the law firm was her lifeline, her ticket out of the chaos of her family's dysfunction. A fraud scandal could end that. She'd seen what happened to colleagues caught in ethical messes. Fired, blacklisted, done. And yet the alternative was letting her family walk all over her, letting them win. She turned, meeting Maris's gaze. "You're wrong," she said quietly. "I'm not paying for your crimes. You are." She yanked the door open and stormed into the rain, her heart pounding as she climbed into her car. The engine sputtered, but it started, and she peeled out of the driveway, the McMansion shrinking in her rearview mirror. Her phone buzzed again. Jason's name this time. She ignored it, her hands shaking as she gripped the wheel. The Raleigh police station was 20 minutes away, but every second felt like an eternity. What if Maris was right? What if reporting them destroyed her, too? She thought of her tiny apartment, her paralegal job, the life she'd clawed her way into. Could she risk it all? But then she remembered the email, the $800,000 0 cents debt in her name, the smug look on Vera's face. They didn't get to win. As she pulled into the police station parking lot, her phone buzzed again. A text from Vera. "Don't do this, Odella. You'll regret it. We know things about you, things you don't want out." Bella's blood ran cold. What did that mean? What could they possibly know? She'd lived her life by the book, kept her nose clean, stayed out of trouble. But the threat gnawed at her, a seed of doubt planted in her resolve. She sat in the car, rain hammering the roof, staring at the police station's neon sign. The truth was her only weapon, but it came with a cost. She could walk in there and expose them, or she could drive away and try to fix this herself. Either way, her family had drawn a line, and she was on the wrong side of it. The clock on the dashboard ticked past midnight. Odella took a deep breath, her decision crystallizing in the dark. She wasn't their victim. Not anymore.
The fluorescent lights of the Raleigh police station buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows across the linoleum floor. Odella Hartwell? Now Lila Grayson, according to the fraudulent mortgage documents, sat rigid in a plastic chair, her damp clothes clinging to her skin. The officer across the desk, a grizzled man with a name tag reading SGT. Malone typed slowly, his fingers pecking at the keyboard like they resented the task. Lila's phone sat face down on the desk, silenced but heavy with unread messages from her family. Vera's cryptic threat, "We know things about you," looped in her mind, a poison she couldn't shake. "All right, Miss Hartwell," Malone said, leaning back in his chair. "You're alleging your family forged your identity for an $800,000 0 cents mortgage? That's a serious accusation. You got proof?" Lila slid her phone toward him, the mortgage email open. "This, my name, my social security number, but I didn't sign anything. The house is my brother's." Jason Hartwell, or Evan Grayson, as he's calling himself now, his fiancée Vera, Mira Langston, lives there too. My parents, Maris and Harlan, Clara and Victor Grayson, knew about it. They admitted it. Maloney's eyebrow twitched, but his face stayed neutral. Admitted it how? They said they borrowed my name. For the family. Lila's voice shook, but she forced it steady. They didn't ask. They just did it. Malone scribbled something on a notepad. "And you're sure you didn't consent? No verbal agreement, nothing?" Lila's jaw tightened. "I'd never agree to this. They stole my life." He nodded, but his eyes flicked to the clock. "We'll need more than an email. Bank records, signatures, witnesses. Identity theft's tricky, especially with family. You got anyone who can back your story?" Lila hesitated. Her friends were casual, work-focused, not close enough to know her family's dysfunction. Her coworkers at the law firm would be useless. Gossip traveled fast, and she couldn't risk her job. But then she remembered Sloan, her old college friend, now a legal analyst at a Durham firm. Sloan, Nora Blake, as she went by professionally, had a knack for spotting patterns in messy cases. If anyone could help, it was her. "I have a friend," Lila said. "She's a legal analyst. She can help me dig." Malone handed her a card. "Get me evidence. Statements, documents, anything concrete. Until then, this is just your word against theirs. Lila left the station, the rain still pounding outside. Her car felt like a cage, the air thick with the scent of wet upholstery. She dialed Nora, her heart thudding as the call rang. Lila? Nora's voice was sharp, alert despite the late hour. What's wrong? They stole my identity, Lila blurted. My family. An $800,000, 0 cents mortgage in my name. I need your help. A pause. Then Nora's voice hardened. Meet me at my office. Now. Nora's office in downtown Durham was a sleek contrast to the police station. Glass walls, minimalist furniture, the hum of a coffee machine in the corner. Nora, her dark hair pulled into a messy bun, sat across from Lila, her laptop open to a spreadsheet of public records. Lila recounted everything, the confrontation, the mortgage email, Vera's threat. Nora listened, her fingers flying across the keyboard, pulling up property records, credit reports, anything tied to the Grayson name. This isn't their first rodeo, Nora said, her eyes narrowing at the screen. Your brother, Evan, has a history. A car lease in 2022, defaulted, under a name that isn't his. Soraya Reed. Mean anything to you? Lila's stomach dropped. Talia Reed was Jason's ex-girlfriend, a fiery artist who'd vanished from their lives after a messy breakup. His ex. They split 3 years ago. Nora clicked another tab. The lease was tied to a trust your parents set up, Clara and Victor Grayson. The trust paid it off after Talia reported it as fraud. Sound familiar? Lila's hands clenched. They did this to her, too. Looks like it. Nora leaned back, her expression grim. Your family's running a playbook. They use someone's identity, rack up debt, then clean it up through their trust to avoid scrutiny. But this mortgage? It's bigger. Sloppier. They're getting cocky. Lila's mind raced. Talia could be a witness, someone to prove this wasn't a one-off. But finding her would mean digging into Jason's past, a place Lila wasn't sure she wanted to go. Can we track her down? Nora nodded. I'll try. But Lila, this is deep. Your parents' trust has layers. Shell companies, offshore accounts. You're not just fighting your family. You're fighting their money. Before Lila could respond, her phone buzzed. A new email, this time from an unknown sender. Stop digging, Odella. You don't know what you're stirring up. Attached was a photo of her leaving the police station, her face clear in the rain-soaked glow of the neon sign. Lila's breath caught. They're watching me. Nora grabbed the phone, her jaw tight. This is intimidation. Forward it to Malone. And don't go home tonight. Stay with me. Lila didn't sleep. Nora's guest room was too quiet, the weight of the email and Vera's earlier threat pressing against her chest. By morning, Nora had a lead on Talia Reed, now living in Asheville, running a small art gallery. Lila drove the 2 hours alone, her eyes flicking to the rearview mirror, half expecting to see someone tailing her. The Blue Ridge Mountains loomed outside, their beauty lost on her as she replayed the confrontation with her family. Maris's cold dismissal, Harlan's silence, Jason's desperation. They weren't just greedy, they were dangerous. Talia's gallery was a cozy space tucked between a brewery and a bookstore, its walls lined with vibrant abstracts. Talia herself was leaner than Lila remembered, her dark hair streaked with silver, her eyes wary as Lila approached. Odella Hartwell, Talia said, crossing her arms. What do you want? I know what they did to you, Lila said, keeping her voice low. The car lease. They used your name, didn't they? Talia's expression darkened. You're a little late to the party. Yeah, they screwed me over. Jason swore it was a mistake, but I didn't buy it. Your parents paid it off, told me to keep quiet. I moved on. They did it to me too, Lila said. An $800,000 0 cents mortgage. I'm fighting back, but I need your help. Will you talk to the police? Talia laughed, bitter. You think they'll care? Your family's got money, connections. I tried reporting it. The cop said it was a family dispute. Lila's hope wavered, but she pressed on. I have a friend, a legal analyst. She's found patterns. If we can prove they've done this before, then what? Talia snapped. You think Jason's going to jail? Or your mom? They'll lawyer up, bury you in court. You're not ready for this fight, Odella. Lila's throat tightened. I don't have a choice. Tim studied her, then sighed. Fine, I'll give a statement. But don't expect miracles. Back in Raleigh, Lila met Nora at a coffee shop, Talia's written statement in hand. Nora's eyes lit up as she read it, but her excitement faded when Lila showed her another email, this one sent that morning. You're making enemies, Odella. Back off, or we'll make sure everyone knows who you really are. What the hell does that mean? Layla asked, her voice low to avoid the barista's curious glance. Nora's brow furrowed. They're bluffing, trying to scare you. But we need more firepower. I know someone. Clay Browner, or Miles Carver as he goes by now. He's an attorney who's tangled with trusts like your parents. If anyone can crack this, it's him. Miles Carver's office was a stark contrast to Nora's, cluttered with files, the air thick with cigarette smoke, despite the no-smoking sign. Miles, a wiry man with sharp eyes, listened as Lila and Nora laid out the case. When they finished, he leaned back, a grim smile on his face. Your family's trust is a house of cards, he said. I've seen setups like this. Wealthy families using trusts to hide fraud, tax evasion, you name it. The Graysons have been at it for years. Your grandma, Edith Grayson, set it up before she died. But here's the kicker. She left a letter, sealed with her estate lawyer. It's about the trust. No one's opened it since her death. Lila's pulse quickened. What's in it? Miles shrugged. No one knows. But your parents fought tooth and nail to keep it sealed. If it exposes their schemes, it could be your silver bullet. Lila's mind raced. Grandma Edith had been the only one in the family who'd ever seen her, really seen her. Her death 5 years ago had left a hole Lila hadn't filled. Could Edith have left something to protect her? Miles agreed to file a motion to unseal the letter, but he warned Lila, this'll stir the hornet's nest. Your family's not going to sit quietly. That night, Lila stayed at Nora's again, her nerves frayed. She was close, so close, to unraveling her family's lies. But the threats were escalating. Another email arrived, this time with a photo of her car parked outside Talia's gallery. The message read, Last warning, drop this or you lose everything. Lila's hands shook as she showed Nora. They're following me. What do they know about me? What could they possibly have? Nora's face was grim. We need to know who's sending these. I'll get a tech guy to trace the emails, but Lila, you need to be careful. They're not just threatening your reputation, they're threatening you. The next morning, Lila got a call from an unfamiliar number. She hesitated, then answered, Adela? The voice was soft, nervous. It's Chelsea Bertram. Sophie Keller now. We went to high school together. Lila's memory sparked. Chelsea, the quiet girl who'd notarized documents for her parents' business. What do you want? I heard you're asking questions, Chelsea said. About the mortgage. I notarized the papers. Your mom, Clara, said it was legit, that you'd agreed. I didn't know, Adela. I swear. Lila's heart sank. Another pawn in her family's game. Will you testify? Tell the police it was forged? A long pause. They'll come after me. Clara, She's not who you think. She's got people, connections. Who? Lila pressed. What connections? I can't, Chelsea whispered. I'm sorry. The line went dead. Lila's fear morphed into resolve. Chelsea's fear confirmed it. Her family wasn't just a bunch of greedy opportunists. They were organized, dangerous. But she wasn't backing down. The courtroom was packed when Miles presented the motion to unseal Edith Grayson's letter. Lila sat in the back, her stomach in knots, as her parents' lawyer, a slick man in a tailored suit, argued to keep it sealed, claiming it was irrelevant. But the judge, a no-nonsense woman with steel gray hair, wasn't buying it. The letter is material to the allegations of fraud, she ruled. It will be unsealed and reviewed in chambers. Lila's heart soared, but her victory was short-lived. As she left the courthouse, a man in a black SUV watched her, his face obscured by tinted windows. Her phone buzzed with another email. You think a letter will save you? You're already dead to us. That night, Lila and Nora met Miles at his office. The letter, now unsealed, sat on his desk. A single page in Edith's elegant cursive. Lila's hands trembled as she read it aloud. To my family, I've built this trust to protect you, but I fear it's become a weapon. If you're reading this, it's because my worst fears have come true. The trust was meant for love, not lies. Odella, my dearest, you were always the light in our darkness. If they've hurt you, fight. The truth is your strength. The trust's accounts hold the proof. Follow the money. I'm sorry, I couldn't stop them. Edith Grayson. Tears stung Lila's eyes. Edith had known. She'd seen the rot in her own children and left Lila a lifeline. Nora squeezed her hand, her voice fierce. This is it, Lila. The trust's accounts. We'll find the paper trail. But the moment was shattered by a crash. Glass exploding as a brick sailed through Miles's window, landing at their feet. Attached was a note, walk away or you all burn. Lila's fear spiked, but so did her rage. Her family thought they could scare her into silence, but they'd underestimated her. Edith's words burned in her chest. Fight! The next week was a blur of danger and discovery. Nora's tech contact traced the threatening emails to a burner account linked to a Raleigh IP address, Vera's office. Miles subpoenaed the trust's financial records, uncovering a web of transactions tied to shell companies, each one a piece of the Grayson fraud machine. Talia's statement, combined with Chelsea's reluctant affidavit, painted a damning picture. But the Graysons fought back. Jason called Lila, his voice dripping with fake remorse. Della, let's fix this. Family doesn't do this to family. You're not my family, she said, hanging up. Maris sent a letter claiming Lila was unstable, that she'd agreed to the mortgage and was now lying for attention. Harlan stayed silent, but Lila saw him outside her apartment one night, watching from his car. Vera's threats grew darker, hinting at secrets Lila didn't understand. You think you're clean? We know what you did in college. Lila racked her brain, but there was nothing that could justify this. They were grasping, desperate, and yet the fear lingered. What if they had something? What if they could ruin her? The breaking point came when Malone called. We've got enough for arrests, he said. Your family's trust is a gold mine of fraud. We're moving tomorrow. Lila should have felt relief, but instead she felt dread. Tomorrow would end it, or destroy her. The arrests played out like a scene from a movie. SWAT teams descended on the Willow Creek McMansion, hauling Jason, Vera, Maris, and Harlan out in handcuffs. Lila watched from across the street, Nora at her side as her family's empire crumbled. The neighbors gawked, their perfect suburban facade shattered. But the real victory came later, in Miles's office. as he laid out the trust's records. Millions in fraudulent loans, all funneled through the Grayson Trust, exposed by Edith's letter. The police had enough to charge them with racketeering, not just identity theft. Lila's name would be cleared, her credit restored. As she left the office, Lila found a package in her mailbox, an old journal, Edith's handwriting on the cover. Inside was a note. You're stronger than they know. Keep shining. Lila clutched the journal, tears streaming down her face. Her family had tried to break her, but they'd failed. Edith's love, her truth, had won. Lila wasn't just free, she was unstoppable.